Shri Sai Ram. My most humble pranams at the Lotus feet of Bhagawan Baba. And Jai Sai Ram to all of you. How is everybody today? Excellent. What a stage, what an audience, what an organization. I'm so honored to be sitting in front of you. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, first of all. Swami Karunyananda, who was a great devotee of our Swami, once asked Swami a question. He asked, Swami, in your previous avatars, like in Rama avatar, Krishna avatar, or your previous avatars, has there been any time when you've given so much opportunity to people, to so many people? And Swami said, this is a very special avatar. And in this avatar, whoever walks through the doors of Puttaparthi, or even just the organization, is very lucky. And that they are given the opportunity to get involved. And then he paused for a moment, and Swami said, the highlight is, if you worked for me, if you did any seva for me, then I will make sure that I will take care of them and their next generations as well. So, like our aunties just mentioned, we should be so fortunate to have had the physical proximity to Swami. We've seen Swami. And I'm more privileged to be talking on the Mahila Day. Five fingers, Swami says the organization can be split. All the five fingers have to work together. But does anybody know which finger represents the Mahila wing? Anybody? Okay, is it the little finger?
No.
Do you know what it represents?
Children.
The little finger represents the Bhajan group. Do you know why it's the little finger, Swami says? Because our ego should be little, like the little finger. Although we are leading bhajans and singing, we are in the front, we should still feel very little. That's why it's represented by the little finger. And is it the ring finger, my loving?
Yes.
No. SSE is the ring finger. The reason being, SSE is the heart. Because children are the future. And the ring finger, we all know that it has a nerve which leads directly to the heart. Doctors, I'm not sure, but that's what they say. So, it's SSE, the ring finger. And the middle finger, is it the Mahila wing? No.
No.
Still no.
It's the thumb.
It's the seva. Because it needs the support of these two fingers and these two fingers, that's why. And index finger, is this the Mahila wing?
No.
Yes, it is. The reason being, it directs at the right direction. And as always, Swami has given that role to women. Women direct towards goodness and greatness. Towards love, peace, righteousness, and truth as well. So, Swami has given us so much importance. Swami has always made sure that he gives a special place to women. He's given a special day for women. He doesn't have a gents' day, he has a ladies' day. So that's how special we are.
The rest of them just say subject.
I remember an incident, not an incident really, but when Swami, say for example, he calls a couple for an interview, he always makes sure that he gives all the praise to the women. Once a couple was called for an interview and the man said, Swami, my wife's got high BP. Expecting Swami to kind of, shout at the lady for not taking care of her health. But guess what Swami did? It's all because of you, because of all the tensions that you gave her. That's why she's got high BP. It's your responsibility to take care of her. That's what Swami said. So Swami always supports women. And when they leave after the interview, after he's created Vibhuti and when he's closing the door, he calls a lady and he says, don't worry, he's a very good person. You also should make sure that you don't shout at him as soon as he comes back. He gives it to her in person, but in front of her husband, he makes sure that he always keeps her up there. So that's how much he respects women and how much he makes sure that, the man keeps her there as well in that position. On the contrary, Swami once was talking to a college student and he said, don't get married. You know what wife means? He expanded the abbreviation. He said, it is worry invited forever. So the boy was like, what am I supposed to do, Swami? And then this is an incident that I heard in one of Professor Anikumar's talks. And Professor Anikumar was sitting, he could hear everything, the conversation that was going on there. And he mustered his courage and he asked Swami, can I please ask you a question here? And he says, Swami, all the Saptarishis were married and all the avatars have come down in a Grihastha family. And how can you say that wife is worry invited forever? And then Swami says, that it's not that it's for everybody. I just had to advise him something. So for him, that is the thing. But then he goes on speaking about Sita and Savitri and those kind of great ladies, and then he finally changes it to, guess what? Wisdom invited forever. So wife is wisdom invited forever, and congratulations, wise men who have already invited wisdom. If you haven't done it yet, please do it soon. Swami always wants women to take very active part in the organization. Not just Balvikas, he wants ladies to have their own bhajans and their own seva activities. Even Swami went to the extent saying there should be a chairperson for the Mahila group, and the chairperson obviously should work according to the conditions of the organization and also abide by what the regional or the national chairperson says. So that is how active we should be in the organization. And like I said, we have a great responsibility in the organization itself. And we know that Swami always talks about detachment. So I would like to narrate an incident here. Is there any relationship in this world which is excluded from that detachment that Swami talks about? Can anybody think of one? Exactly, it's the mother and child relationship. All of us know about brother Satyajit, who was caretaker of Swami. There's one incident where Satyajit's physical parents came to visit Puttaparthi. It was at Dasara time, and they stayed there for 8 or 9 days. But because it's such a busy time, Satyajit didn't have the time to go and visit his parents, even for like half an hour or 1 hour. And he was taking care of Swami. He was so busy. And it was the last day when they were going to leave, and that's the day when he manages to find a little bit of time, goes and meets them. And the moment his mother sees him, she's completely in tears. Excuse me. Sorry about that. So she breaks down. And the Satyajit, he doesn't know how to react, and he says, Ma, you should be happy that I'm serving the Lord. Who gets this opportunity? This is the rarest of the rarest opportunities that I've got. I've got the opportunity to serve the mother of mothers. And you being my mother, you should be the one who understands me and all that. And then he gives her a lecture on detachment. And then he feels very proud that, he's done that, and Swami is going to be very happy with him. And he goes back to Swami. And guess what Swami does? Swami shouts at him instead and says, can you talk about detachment to a mother? A mother cannot be detached from a child. you better go back now to her and spend a little bit more time and tell her that what you said was wrong. And he starts shivering. And he says, Swami, they have already left. They must be in the train station, or the train must have left now. But then he says, no, the train is still there. You better go and meet her. And then he goes to the station, and obviously Swami had made arrangements to make the train late. So they were waiting in the station still, and he talks to his parents again and says what Swami has said. So that is how much importance that Swami gives to motherhood. And he says mothers are even excluded from that detachment. Because we need to have that kind of attachment to bring up our children, our duties, our responsibility. But also there's a difference between complete detachment and detached attachment. And that is the detached attachment that we have to follow as mothers. I'm not sure if many of you know that I lost my mother 6 years back to cancer. So all of us here are very, very lucky because we all have a physical mother as well as a divine mother, mother of mothers. I lost my mother some time back, and I did have that, as a human, I did have that period of grief, and I had to get through some hard times and all that. I still miss her. But Swami, being the mother of mothers, made sure that he always made sure that he was there for me. So I've got a few experiences where I actually felt Swami as my mother, which I'm going to narrate to you now. Swami always came in my dream in the first period of grief when I had lost my mother. But he made sure that he came with my mother as well in the dream. So just as a consolation for me to understand that he's replacing her. And also I think she was also there in the dream, and she would feel happy that Swami was taking care of me. He would come on all special days like birthdays, Diwali, New Year, all those kind of days, the first year. And then slowly the frequency reduced, but he still comes in my dream and still comes with her. Just to make sure that I remember that he is my mother now. So he's everything for me now. So that's still happening. I recently had a dream as well, a couple of weeks back. So my mom was also there in the dream, and she was in Prashanti, it was in Kulwant Hall as well. So he keeps reminding me all the time. The first time when I felt Swami's motherly love was when my university started. We joined on the 1st of June, 1998 it was. We went to Anantapur, and after we got Anantapur is about 2 hours from Puttaparthi. So we had to go to Prashanti for all the darshans and all the festivals and everything. That was the usual practice. We used to hire buses, and we used to go about 8 buses, 500 of us. So the first years were taken, the first newcomers were taken to Swami. And Swami was so excited. We could see that kind of happipiness in him, which you only see in a mother's face when she sees a child. It really touched us, all of us. And every time Swami was walking at that time as well. So he would walk so fast, he would go inside, and every time he came out, he would come out with something. He came out with watches, he came out with saris, with Mysore Pas, which was dripping with ghee. I still remember the taste of that Mysore Pak. So Swami was so loving to us. That was the first time I felt very, very close to Swami as a mother, how he took care of us. And the beauty when he distributes saris, again he's very excited, and he makes sure that everybody's got the saris and everybody's happy. He wants to see everybody smiling, and he even goes to an extent to say, this is not the first time, but when he does it every time. When he's giving a sari to somebody, he goes to an extent to say, I gave you this color last year, so I'll give you a different color this year. So he remembers. Who can do that except a mother? So only Swami who can do that. And sometimes he says, this color would suit your complexion better. You take this color instead of that. And those kind of things as well. You feel so close to Swami when you're there. Definitely, every one of us are so lucky to get introduced to our Swami. Because there are so many people in this world who don't know Swami. We know Swami, we are part of the organization. We should feel very, very, very lucky. And when I'm saying about the saris as well, after distribution of saris, we being women, we want to try it on straight away. So afternoon darshan, we would wear the sari and come. And Swami would see that even before we have noticed that he has seen us. So when he is coming through that arch, he would have seen us and he would feel so happy. And we can see the joy in his face again, that his children are so beautiful, they're dressed in the dress that he has given them. So he would feel so happy, and then he would come and talk to us about it. He would say, it's very nice and all that. So he would give us all praises. And when we are sitting in the darshan line as well, Swami, you would have noticed that girl students don't get so much physical proximity. We don't get to hold Swami or be around Swami all the time. But we do have a heart-to-heart relationship with him. And only Swami knows how close we are to him. On many occasions, Swami has said that to boys as well. You don't know how close I am to my girls, my children. Every time when he goes through the girls' block, he would talk about marriage. Who else other than a parent can worry about a child's marriage? He's always been a mother, and he would tell, when he performed the mass marriages once, when he was going back, he mentioned, don't worry, I'll find you all also good grooms. Don't worry, it's my responsibility. And I know that you will all name your children Sai something, but don't bring all of them to say that I'll have to name them. You can name them with the prefix Sai. I'll make sure that you're all married, he said once. So that was very nice. Swami also reciprocates the love. Once what happened was, we were singing this song, Humko tumse pyar kitna, Sai tum hi jante. In that song there's a line which says, we love you, dear Sai, we love you. And we were all crying. We were all in tears because I think it was the final year when we were leaving the institute. And obviously we don't want to leave after being with Swami for 3 years. And Swami also had tears in his eyes. And the best thing was, when he was just walking away, and he was standing near that arch, and Swami turned and looked at the girls and he said, I love you too, with tears in his eyes. And this has just happened once in the 3 years that I've been there, and I think it's really, really wonderful for Swami to say that in words as well. Not just express with tears, but also say that in words. So we felt very happy at that time. And one other occasion is where we all felt like little children, was Swami's 75th birthday. We had the opportunity to do Grama Seva. Usually Grama Seva is done by the brothers, by students. Girls are asked to pack. So all through the night we sit and pack food packets, hot pulao rice or pulihara or whatever is being prepared that night. And then we all sit through the night, 500 of us, and pack. We had a method of packing as well. We were trained on that. And we sat and packed in rows. We used to sing bhajans. No sleep. Next day morning in darshan lines we used to sleep. So, brothers used to come early in the morning and they would load all of them in the trucks and take them to the villages nearby to distribute them. But the thing was, before they left for the Grama Seva, they got the opportunity to go around the mandir where Swami used to stand physically and sing bhajans. So it was like a Nagar Sankirtan around the mandir in the Kulwant hall. Imagine, all of us would be sitting and watching them. And they had the opportunity to physically do pradakshina up to Swami, which was a very, very, very rare thing. Because we do Nagar Sankirtan, we do everything, but when we have Swami in physical form, we want to get an opportunity to go around him like we go around in temples. So the girls were craving for that, the students. So we prayed and prayed and prayed. So after the packing, what we used to do is we would forego our sleep, because after darshans we can go back and sleep for some time. But we would not sleep, we would sit and chant Hanuman Chalisa or whatever we decide on that day, and pray that we should get an opportunity to do it once at least. Because that was a very special year because of 75th birthday. And Swami, obviously, he knows everything. He calls our Jayama ma'am And he says, I know my girl children are all praying so hard, so I want to give them an opportunity. So tomorrow they can do the Gram Seva. They can go on the trucks. But they'll have to pack as well, he said. He said, we agreed immediately because we are ready to work hard. This is a very rare opportunity that we get. Okay then. Swami wanted to actually give us more instructions because he wanted to make sure, like a mother, when you send your child somewhere, you give instructions over instructions over instructions, even though they understand, I know it, even though we have done that so many times, we still want to do it till the last moment. So Swami is the same. He called us all inside for an interview, so we got an additional interview as well that year. When we went inside, Swami taught us what we are supposed to do at each residence. So we have to go and we have to knock at the door, and then somebody would come out and you have to ask them how many people live in the house, and you have to give each of them a food packet, a laddu, a sari, or whatever we had to distribute, and like step-by-step procedure. Everything was explained to us by Swami. And only then he was satisfied. He was like, okay, like good children, you should go and do this and come back. Like, okay, Swami. And Swami was very happy. And the following day morning, we all went and we all did the Grama Seva and we came back. And before the Grama Seva, we also got the opportunity to do the production and the Nagasam Kirtana also. So that was one of the greatest experiences, I would say, because the feeling, when you pray to Swami and Swami knows it, it's such a wonderful feeling because nobody asked him physically. He just knew it and he called us. So that was amazing as well. And some of you might know that Swami gave me this opportunity to do some bike stunts in front of him. And also Swami gave me the opportunity to escort him. So the year we did the bike stunts, we go to such an extent to take so much risk for Swami. We only do that because Swami is going to watch us, otherwise he wouldn't bother really. Swami enjoyed everything. My stunt was to read a newspaper on the bikes. And then we had different formations as well, lotus formation, and then we had two people going side by side, and then there was a bamboo in between and the girl was on it doing somersault, and those kind of very risky, interesting stunts. And we had this firing stunt and everything. And Swami really enjoyed everything, but at the end of it, he gave a speech. Always, at the end of an event, he talks about the event itself. And he says, your parents have brought you up and they sent them to me. I'm supposed to take care of you. And you do all these kind of risky stunts. You think the feeling that your parents have and the feeling that I have when I watch these stunts are different. No, I'm so scared when you're doing all these. Why do you do all these for Swami? I know you do these for Swami, but why do you do such risky stunts for Swami? He said. So again, we felt how a mother would feel when such risky things are done. He was very concerned that we should all be very fine. We also had some pole stunts that year. So again, he was, girls were also high, and he's always very protective about his children. So he expressed that concern in his speech after the event. I'm just checking if I've covered everything. Don't miss anything. Yeah, two other things I wanted to mention was, this is also from one of Professor Alan Kumar's talks. He says once he was talking to a little boy and asked him, how old are you? And the little boy says he's about 8 years old. And he asks him, who told you that? How do you know that you're 8 years old? He says, my mother told me. And again, he goes to a postgraduate student and he asks him, how old are you? And he says, I'm 22. How do you know that? And he says, Swami, it's on my birth certificate. So Swami says, see, a small boy believes his mother and you go by the birth certificate. I would rather prefer you to go by what your mother says, he says. On another occasion, in this incident, Swami has actually done what a physical mother would have done for the child. In this case, a small boy, he has actually lost his mother. a year ago, and every day he keeps, missing her and he cries. Swami, in the darshan line, he goes to him and he creates earrings for him. A boy creates earrings for him. They're like jhumkas with all diamonds studded, and it's very pretty. Anybody would want them. They're so good. And Professor Anil Kumar was sitting right next to this boy. And he thinks, why is this Swami giving the earrings for a boy? And the next day, again he comes back to him and he gives him similar earrings to the same boy. And Professor Anil Kumar again thinks, okay, something is wrong. I think Swami's made a mistake here. And immediately Swami asks him, okay, stand up. And Professor Anil Kumar stands up. He wants him to translate now. Okay? In Telugu he says, some people think that Swami has made a mistake. And he translates that. Thinks that, why is Swami giving earrings to a boy? And then he obviously translated that, knowing that it was him who thought that way. And then Swami says, no, I have not made a mistake. Not everybody knows the reason why Swami does certain things. The reason why I gave him the earrings was, this boy has been crying the last 1 year, sitting in the darshan line. He lost his mother 1 year back. And his mother wanted to give his sisters earrings like these. And obviously now he doesn't have the mother. He doesn't have the money to get them. So I gave them to him so he can give it to his sister. So his mother would be happy. His mother's soul would be happy. On another occasion, he calls a boy, a college student, and writes him a check for 20 lakh rupees. And again, Professor Anil Kumar, he says, Swami, what is this you're doing? We don't know whether this boy is going to come back to us or not. We don't know where he's going to go. You're just giving him so much money. Swami says, why are you bothered? It's my money I'm giving you. He said, no, Swami, it's still, it's such a large amount. He says, no, I'm giving it for a reason. And I want him to do medicine. And his mother wanted him to do medicine. And that's why I want him to do medicine. And his mother's no more, so I'm giving him this. So on many, many occasions, Swami has even physically shown to people how he can be a physical mother. But it doesn't happen always, but we have to take the small clues that we get in our day-to-day life, even for small things. We pray to Swami and he does that. We have to realize that it is really Swami, it's not a coincidence. Swami says there are no coincidences. He does it, and only with his will, anything can move. Even. So when some things happen, we have to believe that it is the Mother Sai who has done it for us. I'll finish with one last incident. In this incident as well, it was a boy student who went to Japan to do some work. And Swami takes care of him. In Japan, it's very hard to get vegetarian food. So this person, he goes to work and he comes back very late that night, so he has no time to come back and cook. He's very tired. He thinks, oh Sai Ma, you sent me here, and see, I don't even have food. I have to go home and make something to eat. How nice it will be if I have some food when I go home, food ready. And he goes home. In the apartments, it's like some 50-story building or something like that. He doesn't know any neighbors at all. And there's a lot of noise when he goes to his floor. And next door neighbor, there's a party. And he says it's his daughter's birthday or something. He's a Muslim. He comes with all food served in the plate. All Indian food, all vegetable biryani. He actually asks him, are you a vegetarian or a non-vegetarian? He thinks, he's a Muslim, obviously it's going to be non-vegetarian. But his assumption was wrong again. He says, no, don't think I don't have vegetarian. If you want vegetarian, I've made vegetarian option also. I can give you vegetarian food, he says. He says, he's very happy. His prayer is answered. So he says, okay, can I have some food and all that? And then he enjoys the food. It's full 3-course meal with dessert and everything. So he enjoys the food and he thanks Swami and he sleeps. And next day morning, then he goes in the night to return the plates and everything. But everything is shut then. They've all finished the party. So he keeps it for the next day morning. He goes back, he knocks at the door, and a Japanese man comes out. And he's not even able to communicate with that man. Leave alone the food or whatever. But he couldn't even communicate with him. So there was no Muslim at all there. It was really Swami who came and gave him the food.
Wow.
As a Muslim. So time and again, we have to keep reminding ourselves that we have our Mother Sai with us all the time. Especially people like me who don't have a physical mother. But Swami has always been with me and I feel that all the time. On the other day, on Akhil Bhajan Day, again, through the organization, Swami made sure that everything that the mother would do would happen to me. There was a little function that was done for me after the Akhil Bhajans got over. It's the mothers in the organization who did it for me. Thank you very much. So Swami has made sure that everything happens. So thank you again for listening to me. And thanks for the opportunity. I'm very, very honored. Jai Sai.